Hey everyone, card reveals for Tuesday today. And, I think a lot of people have already seen some of these card reveals. Now we get to know their exact effects, right? Because we saw them, it was revealed in the anime pretty much, but not everyone watches the anime. So might as well get the confirmed effects and talk about it because I think it is a rather significant card that got shown, or a couple of cards that got shown. So let's get into it, right? Set 13 stuff. So first off, we have Alden support, and this is kind of the new Keter ride line that is coming in. Well, kind of like an old, it's an old character. It's Alden. Everyone knows Alden, Bastion's buddy, right? But now he gets his own Vanguard. So this is just kind of its ride line. It's support. So this is Admis. This is just the grade 1. And then this is the Tranquilla. So when this is wrote upon, reveal 3 cards of different grades from hand. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and choose up to 1 grade 1 or less unit among them and call to the rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. If you did not call, you may call this card to the rearguard circle. So this gimmick is like having all the different grades, I guess, in your hand compared to Bastion, which is only graded 3s. Actually harder to pull off because Bastion, you can just build your deck full of grade 3s. Well, this one, you need a nice mix. And if you don't get that mix, you don't get anything. So unless they reveal a card that just says it's every single grade, I don't know, right? But yeah, that's what it is. The second ride line is Clear Sky Knight Sodius. So when this unit is wrote upon, reveal 3 cards of different grades from hands. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 grade 2 or less unit card from among them called the rearguard circle. If you did not call, you may call it the rearguard circle. So it's basically like the grade 1, except you can call grade 2s. Do note that you don't have to. It doesn't say what you need to ride over. So it's like not a named ride over. You can like ride anything over it, and it will work. So this can kind of go into a lot of different ride lines, I guess. But its effect is just, I feel like its effect is just not that great, right? And then lastly, we do have the Alden. So sword that connects heaven and earth, Alden. Act once per turn, cost counterblast 1 and soul blast 1. Choose up to 1 grade 3 or less card from your hand and call to the rearguard circle. If you call a card, draw 2 cards. It feels like the old Alden that we know, except you don't have to call a grade 3. You can call a grade 3 or less. And, it costs less as well, but I guess it's your Vanguard, so that's like the trade-off. And you get to draw 2 cards. The second effect is Auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, if you have 3 or more rearguards with different grades, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your rearguards and return it to your hand, and then choose up to 2 cards with the total sum of their grades being less than or equal to the original grade of the card returned to hand from your hand and called to the rearguard circle in the same column. So what this means is like if you bounce a 3, you can call like a 2 and a 1. You can call a 2 and a 0. You can call just 1 grade 3, right? Or if you like bounce a grade 0, you can call like 2 grade 0s out. But then you feel very, very sad. All right. What you can do with this, I guess, is like you can bounce a 3 and call like an old Alden, and then that can call another grade 3, and that's how you can make like 5 attacks, I guess. Because the Alden skill will call the other grade 3 in the other slot. So I don't know. It seems kind of funny, but so far at the baseline at the moment, it's only like 4 attacks, unless you go into like a bunch of different shenanigans to make it 5, right? But this is just a straight up, very easy, at least 4 attack deck. Doesn't require a lot of cost as well. No CB needed. You just need a Soul Blast 1, right? So pretty interesting. And then here's some of the support. So we've got Sage of Civilization Furon. So when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, this unit gets power 2000 till the end of turn. If you have a unit with Alden in its card name, discard a card from your hand and countercharge 1. So you get some countercharge. So it's kind of, funnily enough, it would work pretty well with the old Alden. So, running the old Alden in the new Alden. Though technically this is the older Alden, right? I guess, according to the lore, maybe. And then we have this grade 2, so Sharpness Knight Ermac. So when this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, if you have a unit with Alden in its card name, this unit gets power 5,000 until the end of turn. If it was placed by your card's ability, it gets 15,000 instead. So, this is ideally what you want to call like this and like the Furon, so you get just a bunch of power. Do note, it says if you have a unit with Alden in its card name, your Vanguard actually doesn't need to be Alden. It could be something else. You just have to have a unit with Alden. So yeah, it kind of works with that too, right? And then here we have Clear Skies 9 Light Leads Dragon. So if you have a unit with Alden in its card name, this unit gets boost. So again, you only need a unit, right? And then auto rearguard circle. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked or boosted. Put another rearguard in the same column as this unit into soul. Choose one of your units of Alden in its card name, and it gets power 10,000 until the end of turn. So ideally what you'll be doing with this is you will like boost or attack with this. Then you will suck the other thing into soul, which feeds your Vanguard Alden's power. And then your Alden will bounce this grade 3 back to hands, right? And then you can call like a 2 and a 1, for example. So that's kind of the mini combo there, and this is just kind of the support, right? So yeah, I think it's okay. It will probably be very cheap to build, right? So it'll be like the cheap ride line of the set for all the newcomers, because it's also very easy to understand, right? You just do a couple of maths and you're good to go. Now let's talk about the real cards today. So, well, not this one. This is the Dragon Tree Wretch Gala Dice Shatch. So this is the the mask searcher for Keter, because we actually don't have one yet, because there's no Keter masks yet. So interesting. So it's just, when it comes to play, counter boss 1, soul boss 1, choose a rearguard circle without a Dragon Tree marker and put a Dragon Tree marker there, and then search your deck for up to 1 Mask of Hydragram and put it into your hand. So that's basically what it does. It's the same as everything else. All the other Dragon Tree Wretches that are grade 2, right? But now we also have Inhumane Dragon. This card cannot be written and cannot be normal called to rearguard circle without any Dragon Tree markers. And then call rearguard circle during your turn. This unit gets power 2k for each of your Dragon Tree markers on your rearguard circle. And then the last effect is call rearguard circle during your turn. This unit gets power 2000 for each of your rearguards. So this guy can get a bunch of power, right? If you have 5 Dragon Tree markers, it gets plus 10k. And then if you have 5 rearguards, you get another plus 10k. So this guy just hits 35k because it's 15k base, right? So crazy. And then here we have Supreme Dragon Tree of Annihilation, Grifflegira Vartex. So this is the upgraded Dragon Grifflegira, I guess, because as you can see, it's at grade 11 instead of grade 10. Yo. So it's got a few abilities. So auto, when this unit is placed by riding, put a Grifo Eshitogui, I can't say that, token into your order zone. Okay, so that's cool. No Persona Ride, by the way, for this unit. Con Vanguard Circle, during your turn, this unit gets power 10k and a critical +1. So actually just straight up it's just straight up 28k because it's 18k base. 18k base. During your turn, it's 28k, and then you get +1 critical. So it's like swing for annoying numbers, right? And then the third effect here, this other con one, is if the total number of Hydragram and Dragon Tree markers on your rearguard circle is 10 or more, this unit gets power 10,000. Active on your opponent's turn too. So I guess if your field has like 5 Dragon Tree markers, for example, and then you have 5 Dragon Tree Wretches, because that's what all the Hydragram stuff is, it equals 10, and then you get your 28k base, and you're kind of like a bad Gize, right? You don't deal 5 damage. Your rearguards can get retired. Yeah. So at least you have like a bunch of defensive buffs. But if there's a way to kind of change the balance where you can hit like 7 Dragon Tree markers versus like, and then just put like 3 rearguards in the back row like that, then you'll satisfy this, and I guess it'll be more annoying for your opponent to deal with, unless they're like Gandiva, for example. But this, like, with this buff and then the other buff here, the 2 cons buff, it'll basically like at least you can get like a 30k 8k swing, right? Which seems pretty cool. And then the last effect is auto Vanguard Circle once per turn. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, choose a face-up Calamity card from your ride deck and remove it. If you did not remove a card, choose a trigger unit from your ride deck, reveal it, activate all of its trigger effects and additional effects, remove it, and stand all of your rearguards on a rearguard circle with Dragon Tree markers. So all of these don't require CB as well. So you can really spam like the CB1, come into play, get Dragon Tree marker for your Dragon Tree Wretches. So I guess that's pretty cool, right? I guess that's pretty cool. Easily make a bunch of Dragon Tree markers and then just stand everything, right? Yeah, okay. It seems nice. 18k base, I think 18, like, if you were even 28k base though in this current format, or in the state of standard right now, I think it might not mean that much, because there's so many ways to gain power, like right now. So things can usually easily hit over it. But then we have the Grifo Eschatologui thing as well. So this is the token. Auto in the order zone. At the beginning of your main phase, you may search your deck for up to 1 trigger unit and put it face up into the ride deck and shuffle the deck. If you put a card, choose a Hydragram from your drop, and you may call it to the rearguard circle. So that's really cool. So after you use your over trigger, right? You can start putting crit triggers in, or like heal, basically any trigger you want. And then you can also, you get a free call. You get to call a Dragon Tree Reg. You could probably even just like do it ASAP, start just getting rid of triggers from your deck, which is technically not ideal, but you are technically plus one-ing from that as well, because you're getting a free Hydreigon card from your drop, which also turns into a Dragon Tree marker, because, you know, coming to play, get a Dragon Tree marker, right? And then the second effect is act in the order zone once per turn. Discard a card with Griffelgira in its card name from your hand, then draw a card. Choose one of your regard circles and put a Dragon Tree marker. Then put the top card of your deck into the damage zone face down. Choose a face-up Calamity card from your Ride deck and remove it. So a few effects here, right? So one, you turn your grade 3s that are useless into just draw a card and make a Dragon Tree marker. But this Dragon Tree marker doesn't need to be on an open circle. So all the Dragon Tree wretches make those Dragon Tree markers on open circles. So, you know, you can't overlay them, I guess. While this one allows you to do it, right? So ideally, you will want to use this guy to stack Dragon Tree markers at the front, and then use the other Dragon Tree wretches to start like spreading them towards the back. Or just basically anything that's open. You use them to use those wretches, the Dragon Tree wretches, to put 2 at the front first, and then, you know, start spreading it back, and then these stack, and then you'll make a situation where, like, you know, you'll reach the 10 threshold of Dragon Tree markers and wretches like that much easier. Depending on how much Griffelgira you want to run though, because this is technically a once per turn. So even if you have like 5 in hand, you can only get rid of one of them every turn, like the old Griffelgira and this new one. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a great effect, but you have to also figure out how many of the Griffelgiras you actually want to run. But overall, it seems quite interesting. It might actually make Griffelgira actually better, right? Because right now it is absolutely unplayable. But with some of the support and getting some of these, like, you know, making Dragon Tree stuff like maybe a bit more relevant, and just make it like kind of like a boss monster vibes, because as everyone has pointed out, the art goes pretty darn hard, right? Look how sick this looks. It's kind of a waste that Griffelgira just doesn't really get played. But I guess, you know, if it becomes really broken, then we'll have that Geese scenario where everyone complains about Geese, right? So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I like the kind of boss flavor for these cards. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like these fun cards? Do you think this will be meta? See you in the next video. All right, bye.